Good evening and welcome to the news tonight. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you all the day's top stories from India and across the world. But first, the headlines. A second daring attack in 2 days. Pakistani militants attack an army camp in Jammu's Samba district just 24 hours after the Kathua police station onslaught. Calls for stronger measures to plug security gaps. Congress President Sonia Gandhi meets rain-hit farmers in Haryana, presses on the BJP state government to provide timely compensation. Nearly 70 dead bodies found dumped outside a northeast Nigerian town a day after it was recaptured from Boko Haram militants. Victims appear to have been killed a while back. And Martin Guptill's World Cup record 237 not out takes New Zealand to another massive score and into the semi-finals where they'll take on South Africa. Our top story first, another Pakistani Fidaiin attack in Jammu and Kashmir today. This time, militants targeted an army camp in Samba on the Jammu-Pathankot highway. They were neutralized after a massive military operation. But the fact remains, the second such assault in 2 days points at gaping security holes that need to be plugged.
A near replay of the operation the CRPF and J&K police had carried out on Friday morning. This time, the two militants struck at the Army's 81 armoured camp in Samba district on the Jammu-Pathankot highway. The first shots and grenade blasts were heard just before 6 a.m. Once again, the operation to neutralize them lasted several hours. Paramilitary troops called in. The two men holed up on the roadside and sharp exchange of fire. They were shot dead one by one. 2 Indian soldiers were injured.
जो बार-बार इस तरह का जो घटनाएं हो रहे हैं उससे हम चिंतित हैं और उसका उस हिसाब से कार्रवाई भी होगा और सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस बहुत अच्छी तरह से इसका जवाब भी दे रहा है और आगे भी देगा.
The highway was cordoned off. A pilgrim to Vaishno Devi was injured in the crossfire and is stated to be critical. A combing operation has been launched. Security officials assure that things are safe now with detailed security presence in place.
A high state of vigil has been being maintained to deal with the situation, and we are effectively dealing with the situation. This is as per the present situation. The operation is still continuing. The area is being searched thoroughly to rule out any other militant or terrorist present in the area.
2 strikes in 2 days and the political attacks mount against the new state government on security shortcomings. The centre has said the attacks are a sign of desperation among the militants. Security analysts say causing maximum panic is part of the normal strategy of infiltrating militants. The second such attack, they say, comes with a strong message that much more needs to be done to counter the menace and security threat.
I think that very, very clear steps must be taken in which our troops have been told that anyone crossing the line of control must be shot dead because they are crossing, we don't know who they are and why they are coming. So I think there have to be an offensive defense.
The Samba attack could deal a body blow also to possibilities of the dialogue process starting up again between India and Pakistan, as initiated by Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar earlier this month. The freeze only gets colder. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, retired Major General G.D. Bakshi, who is a defence expert, joining us, in fact, this evening to give us a perspective as to really what could be the issue there in Jammu and Kashmir as far as the porous border is concerned. Sir, thanks so much for joining us this evening. 2 daring attacks in 2 days. I mean, forget the fact that, this is a new government that's having to deal with this problem, but this is not something new. How do we fill those gaps there?
The first thing is the mindset and the message that the government is sending out. The new government started on a disastrous note by releasing, terrorists and terrorist sympathizers and supporters like Mashrat Alam, who was the mastermind, the ISI kingpin for the 2008-2010 stone pelting, kind of incidents that we had, where police stations were burnt and the policemen were killed. Now that sends an extremely wrong, very, very wrong kind of a message to the security forces. And when you harp 24/7 on doing away with the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, we have been trying to tell the government, the security forces have been trying to tell the government there that, you know, Pakistan has been relieved of one front when the American and NATO forces have withdrawn from Afghanistan, and there is a lot of surplus terrorist capacity which is now available for diversion towards Jammu and Kashmir. We were all anticipating a step up in the attacks, and that is precisely what has happened. Therefore, you know, the government must listen to the security professionals, to the military professionals who have been saying now is not the time to do away with the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, to open the gates before the Huns attack. You know, that is going to be very, very counterproductive and
it's interesting that you mentioned that, sir. It's interesting you mentioned that because, you know, Omar Abdullah just today in the assembly was actually speaking about that, saying that his NC government was in the process to get that, AFSPA expelled, but, you know, they still need to do that much more, this new government. But, you know, when you also have a defense minister who's saying that, you know, the militants are just trying to boost their own morale, he's kind of giving a defensive argument to what really is happening there, saying that we are also neutralizing militants, but then you are also losing innocent lives on this side of the border.
Well, unfortunately, if a Fidayeen attack is going on, if a bunch of terrorists trained in Pakistan have decided to commit suicide, all that the armed forces can do is to help them commit suicide by taking action against them. And in all those cases, both the cases, they have been eliminated to the last man. But in the bargain, we do lose some military, some security and civilian lives. And that is what cannot be helped. But what can certainly be helped is that we raise costs for Pakistan. You know, the new state government has been led by Mr. Mufti Muhammad Saeed, has been bleating about talking with Pakistan, surrendering to Pakistan. You know, the government had taken a very principled stand that we would not talk to Pakistan till such time as they continued their support for terrorists, their terrorist training camps were active, and they have taken no action whatsoever against the perpetrators of 26/11. Yet we have been forced to resile from our principled stand. Mr. Mufti Muhammad Saeed, as part of the hard bargain that he has driven with the central government, has virtually forced it to talk to Pakistan, to talk to Hurriyat, all of which we had said we will not do. It was a principled stand, and I thought we should have stuck to it. By taking these, you know, resiling from our principled stands, we are sending a wrong message to Pakistan. But please note that when the Modi government had come, all terrorist activities have virtually, you know, come to a standstill because they were very worried, they were very scared of what the Modi government would do. It was a hard right-wing nationalist government, and they were worried that it would hit back. Now by slow degrees you are telling them that you are not hitting back, that the PDP will call the shots, that they will ensure that our government talks to Pakistan. I mean, since when is foreign policy going to be made in Srinagar? You know, foreign policy is the prerogative of New Delhi. And I'm very sorry to state, but the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir state has no locus standi to try and dictate what we should do on foreign policy, whether we should talk with Pakistan or not, is entirely the call of the central government.
2 daring attacks in 2 days, sir, and we still haven't got a statement from the Chief Minister yet. That in itself is a telling sign. Thank you so much, Major, for joining us with that perspective, really giving us, you know, quite an eye-opener really on what the state government is actually doing there in Jammu and Kashmir. Lots of questions that need answers. We'll keep an eye out on developments there. But thank you so much for joining us. With that, of course, let's move on to politics now. An eye on garnering support of farmers. Congress President Sonia Gandhi continued her visit to states that were recently hit by unseasonal rains. Today, she's on a day-long visit to Haryana. After meeting affected farmers in 4 districts, Sonia appealed to the union government to provide fast and fair compensation to them.
Congress President Sonia Gandhi is in Haryana to meet the farmers whose crops have been affected by unseasonal rain and hailstorms. Demanding timely compensation from the government for those affected, Sonia Gandhi promised the farmers to take up their cause with the centre.
सरकारों की जिम्मेदारी है किसानों को मदद पहुंचाना है। उनका क्या मांग है? सही और जल्दी से जल्दी मुआवजा मिले। क्या बोल रहे हैं आप? ये सरकारों का मेरा अपील है कि जल्दी से जल्दी उनको मदद करें, मुआवजा दे।
हरियाणा सरकार या भारत सरकार अभी क्या देती है क्या नहीं देती, लेकिन किसान का खर्चा जो है 12 से 14 हजार रुपए प्रति एकड़ का खर्चा है, जो हमने इसमें ब्यौरा अपने दिया हुआ है। और ये ज्ञापन जो प्रेषित किया है ये हम सोनिया जी को देंगे।
100% फसल है जो बर्बाद हो गई है। आज किसान रोने के चक्कर में मर गया। सोनिया गांधी ने हमें आश्वासन दिया कि हम सरकार के ऊपर दबाव बनाएंगे और लोकसभा में उठाएंगे मुद्दा।
This visit to Haryana comes just a day after she visited villages in Kota district of Rajasthan. In Kota too, Sonia met affected farmers and expressed solidarity with them.
ये जो नया भूमि अधिग्रहण अध्यादेश आया है उसके खतरे तो हैं ही, उसके साथ ही अभी हाल में जो भयानक प्राकृतिक आपदा आई है, बेमौसम बरसात और ओले, उससे जिस तरह से फसलें बर्बाद हुई हैं, तो किसान का तो एक तरह से भविष्य ही अंधकार में चला गया है। इस आक्रोश को स्वर देने के लिए दिल्ली में पार्टी एक रैली करे।
The Congress president's visit to the state comes amid the party's increased focus on farmers' issues. The Congress party has also been opposing the NDA government's controversial land bill, bringing together all opposition parties on one platform. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the CPIM took stock of the just concluded first half of the budget session. The Central Committee of the party evaluated how legislative business was conducted in Parliament. The party office bearers sharpened their attack on the union government on a host of issues, including the way the coal bill was passed on the floor of the upper house. The CPM, along with other left parties and the Congress, had opposed the bill, terming it anti-tribal and anti-people. Both have already dropped hints that they will go to court opposing the just passed bill. The party has also voiced its opposition to the land bill.
लोग विरोध कर रहे थे, उनके अंदर से कुछ लोग राज्यसभा में हमने देखा कि आपसी कुछ बात हो गई, लेकिन लैंड बिल इतना आसान नहीं होगा, ये मैं जानता हूँ।
बाकी पार्टियां जिन्होंने लैंड एक्विजिशन बिल पे और बाकी सवालों पे, जैसे वो अमेंडमेंट जो हमने मूव किया उस पर जिस तरीके के समर्थन दिया, वो समर्थन कल ये दोनों बिलों पे नजर नहीं आया। अब क्यों वो अलग पोजीशन लिए, इसका जवाब वही तो दे पाएंगे।
All 16 accused provincial armed constabulary personnel in the 1987 Hashimpur massacre case have been acquitted. They were facing charges related to the killing of 42 Muslims who were picked up from a village in Meerut. The judge gave them the benefit of doubt, citing lack of evidence. The court has now referred the case to the Delhi State Legal Services Authority for rehabilitation of victims. According to the prosecution, the PAC personnel came to Hashimpur village on the 22nd of May in 1987 and picked up about 50 Muslims as a congregation of 500 had gathered outside a mosque there. The victims were shot dead by the accused and their bodies thrown into a canal. 17 people were charged for offences of murder, attempt to murder, tampering with evidence and conspiracy. The 16 accused acquitted today are the ones still alive.
अदालत ने ये कहा कि आरोपियों की पहचान प्रोसिक्यूशन साबित नहीं कर पाई, इस आधार पर एक संदेह का लाभ देते हुए उन सबको बरी किया है। इसका मतलब ये है कि पूरे प्रोसिक्यूशन ने ये बात साबित नहीं कर पाए कि इस अपराध को करने वाले लोग यही थे।
Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah today asserted that the state government was not protecting anybody in the death of IS officer D.K. Ravi Kumar and would make it stand on a CBI probe known in the assembly on Monday. The CM's remarks come amid a growing chorus for the case to be transferred to the CBI from the Karnataka CID. Siddaramaiah in fact said that the state CID, which is now probing the case, was also an independent body like the CBI. Congress President Sonia Gandhi had called Siddaramaiah on Friday evening and also asked him to transfer the case to the CBI. Ravi Kumar's IS colleagues, friends and family, besides opposition parties, have been claiming that Kumar was killed for action against the sand mafia.
I congratulate
Madam Sonia Gandhi for her instruction given to the Karnataka Chief Minister to hand over the case to the CBI. I think they could have given it much earlier than yesterday. Chief Minister has promised that he is going to announce the CBI inquiry in the floor of the House on Monday. So anyway, truth has to come out.
And now let's get you news from across the country in Nationwide. The government has cancelled bids of Jindal Steel and Power and Balco for 4 coal blocks amid speculation of cartelization. It said a final decision will be taken after deliberations. The Coal Ministry is still to decide on whether the allotted mines will be re-auctioned or allotted to Coal India. Meanwhile, bids for 5 other coal mines have been accepted. A Delhi court has issued a bailable warrant against Delhi Assembly Speaker Ram Nivas Goyal after he failed to appear before it in an alleged rioting case of 2008. The Metropolitan Magistrate issued the warrant against Goyal after he did not appear even after the court's direction on the 12th of January. The police had charge-sheeted 21 people, including Goyal, BJP leaders Harsh Vardhan, Jagdish Mukhi and Aarti Mehra, in an alleged case of rioting and damaging public property during a protest by BJP activists at the CPIM office in central Delhi in March 2008. An FIR has been lodged against senior Congress leader Renuka Chaudhary after a woman alleged that Chaudhary received 1.10 crore rupees from her husband by making a false promise to get him a party ticket from the Vaira Assembly constituency in Andhra Pradesh in the 2014 general elections. The complainant also alleged that 3 of Chaudhary's followers took 5 lakh rupees each from her husband. Over 900 persons have been arrested so far in anti-cheating operations across Bihar. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has admitted that reports of rampant use of unfair means in the ongoing class 10th examinations has sullied the image of the state. Nitish Kumar's order to ensure cheating-free exams had its impact today with the police arresting hundreds of those people from outside examination centres. A quick break here. It's still ahead though. Death toll in the Yemen suicide bombings crosses 130. Details ahead.
In the Maths Factor, we travel through time and space and see how maths has evolved and how it is a part of the world around us. Join us on Rajya Sabha television. Watch the Maths Factor every Sunday at 8 a.m.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Let's get to some international news now. And in what appears to be a mass execution site, soldiers in Nigeria have discovered bodies of at least 70 people. Troops had seized the town of Damasak as part of a multinational effort to wipe out Boko Haram militants. But the discovery of the bodies is just another sign of failure of government troops in fighting the militant group.
On one hand, there is an optimistic Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan insisting that terrorist group Boko Haram is getting weaker by the day. On the other, there are signs of devastations inflicted by the group, clearly proving that they are anything but weak. Soldiers from Niger and Chad have uncovered mass graves in Damasak, a town in the northern part of Nigeria. The mass graves contain at least 70 to 100 bodies, mostly decapitated. The bodies were strewn beneath a concrete bridge on one of the main roads leading out of town. They were partially mummified by the dry desert air, suggesting the killings took place some time ago. Earlier, Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan had predicted that Boko Haram would lose all its captured territory within a month, but in the same breath, he also admitted that the group's progress has been completely unforeseen. Damasak was seized by the Islamist group in November, with troops from Niger and Chad recapturing it last week. President Jonathan's government has been heavily criticized for its failure to end the 6-year insurgency in the northeast, with the latest discovery painting a much starker picture. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
More than 100 people have been killed in Syria in the past 24 hours. Islamic State fighters attacked regime troops and a suicide bomber caused carnage at Kurdish New Year celebrations. More than 70 members of the government forces were killed when the militant group attacked checkpoints and other positions in the central Homs and Hama provinces. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says several militants also died when clashes broke out, although their toll is not clear yet. The regime controls most of Homs and Hama. Meanwhile, an Islamic State suicide bomber also struck Syria's Kurdish minority on Friday, killing more than 33 people as they celebrated the Kurdish New Year. In fact, in a quote coming in from the Human Rights Observatory, it says that since the IS has recently faced setbacks in several Syrian provinces, this is their attempt to score military points to offset their losses. Friday also proving to be a deadly day in Yemen's capital, Sana'a. Suicide bombers attacked 2 mosques during afternoon prayers, killing over 130 worshippers and wounding hundreds. The attack has raised fears of a possibly very bloody civil war.
At least 137 killed and scores wounded. 4 suicide bombers wreaking havoc at 2 mosques in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, during afternoon prayers. The target, Shiite Muslims. Charred bodies and pools of blood are all that remain at the blast site. Islamic State claims responsibility for the attacks soon after.
بعد أن قام أحد الانتحارين بالانفجار في الحزام الأمني واستغل فرصة الانتحار الآخر بالدخول إلى المسجد.
United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has condemned the attacks, calling all sides to immediately cease hostile action and exercise maximum restraint. The White House too condemned the attack but refused to confirm whether the attackers were affiliated with Islamic State.
He reminds all Yemeni parties of their obligations under relevant Security Council resolutions. The Secretary General urges all to remain fully engaged with his special advisor on Yemen, so as to enable him to continue to exercise the Secretary General's good offices in close cooperation with the members of the GCC and the Security Council.
We cannot at this point confirm the veracity of the claim of these extremists that they are affiliated with the Islamic State.
The attacks have reinforced fears that Yemen's ongoing sectarian power struggle could turn into a full-blown civil war. On the other hand, President Abed Rabo Mansour Hadi has taken refuge in the southern city of Aden, having escaped house arrest in the Houthi-controlled capital last month, and has condemned the attack in a letter to the families. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In the first such effort in the last 3 years, the foreign ministers of South Korea, Japan and China held a meeting in Seoul. The foreign ministers of the 3 countries agreed to conduct a summit meeting of their leaders soon to mend the ties. The meeting was in fact stalled due to tensions over history and territory. The meet attempts to restore a 3-way summit that had been a regular forum to discuss cooperation until it collapsed over what Seoul and Beijing saw as Japan's reluctance to owe up to its wartime past. The 3 foreign ministers also agreed to continue their efforts to fight against North Korea's nuclear ambition.
我们更应该认真地反思和总结其中的经验教训，努力以实际行动来克服一直困扰我们的问题和障碍，共同推动3国的合作，实现
북핵 능력의 고도화를 시급히 차단하고 북한 비핵화의 실질적 진전을 이룰 수 있는 의미 있는 대화가 재개될 수 있도록 공동의 노력을 계속해 나가기로 하였습니다.
Let's get you more international news and updates now in Global Buzz. In a goodwill gesture, Pakistani authorities today released 57 Indian fishing boats held for nearly a year. The boats, which were being held by the Pakistan Maritime Security Agency, were towed to the maritime border before being taken over by Indian authorities. Singaporeans offered flowers and messages to their first Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, as the government said that his condition has worsened. Lee is the founding father of modern Singapore, which he led from 1959 till 1990. The 91-year-old leader has been in hospital since the 5th of February. At least 12 people were killed and 15 injured in Egypt's Giza when a bus fell off the bridge into the murky waters of the Mariatella Lake. The incident happened as the bus attempted to avoid another vehicle. The driver and 4 others jumped off the bus as it fell off. Australia marked the end of its military operation in Afghanistan with welcome home parades in Canberra and Sydney on Saturday. The parades honoured those who served in Operation Slipper, Australia's contribution to the battle launched by the US. More than 33,000 members of the Defence Force, Federal Police and Public Service were deployed in Afghanistan and the Middle East. A police officer shot a man at a New Orleans airport in USA after he attacked 3 Transportation Security Administration agents while armed with a machete and wasp spray. The attacker was taken to a hospital where he underwent surgery. All right, now cricket action and World Cup co-host New Zealand stormed into the semi-finals of the Cricket World Cup today with a comfortable 143-run victory over West Indies. New Zealand opener Martin Guptill shattered the highest individual score record at the World Cup with an unbeaten 237. Here's all the action.
He's really climbed into this.
Another completely in control clinical performance from New Zealand. Their 100% win record in this World Cup stays intact. And here's the main architect of the outright quarter-final victory. Martin Guptill, who was dropped when he was at 4, went on to score a mammoth unbeaten 237, a new World Cup record for the highest individual score.
There it is, straight down the ground. Martin Guptill becomes the first New Zealander to score a one-day international double hundred.
New Zealand finished with their highest World Cup total of 393 for 6 and already seemed to have one leg in the semi-final. The West Indies' hopes of a dream chase were dealt with early blows as they lost 2 quick wickets. Chris Gale and Marlon Samuels tried to get it back on track with some powerful hitting, but with wickets falling regularly, the match ultimately became a mere formality to be completed. For the Kiwis, Bolt took 4 wickets. West Indies were finally bowled out for 250 in 30.3 overs.
I'm still not really sure what happened today, to be honest. It hasn't really sunk in yet, but no, obviously incredibly proud of what happened today, and hopefully moving forward we can win another game and then another one after that. So just pretty proud to get to score that many runs and to get the win as well.
We've just been obviously inconsistent from the tour of South Africa into this World Cup. We've had some good games, we've had some bad games, but we've never been really consistent going forward. So I think going forward we just need to be a lot more consistent than we are at the moment.
The win means the Kiwis will now feature in their 7th World Cup semi-final. They'll face South Africa on the 24th of March. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And that's all we have in this edition of News Tonight, but we're leaving you with Gudi Padwa and Navratri celebrations from across the country.